Those are in orange and red, and they are spread from coast to coast. A recent analysis of U.S. government data by the Associated Press showed that 2,300 people who died in the U.S. last summer had excessive heat listed on their death certificate. That's the highest number ever recorded. The advice from authorities is to seek shelter, ideally with air conditioning, but for the hundreds of thousands of Americans with no place to call home, that's not always an easy option. I spoke earlier to Donald Whitehead Jr. He's the executive director of the National Coalition for the Homeless, and he explained why heat waves are so dangerous for people living on the streets. We appreciate you being here. First of all, why are these kinds of heat waves, these high temperatures, particularly dangerous for the unhoused?
There's a number of reasons that they're dangerous. The population of unsheltered individuals is actually predominantly people over 55 years of age. And so people at that age level often suffer from respiratory issues. They suffer from insomnia, a number of really important and sometimes life-threatening issues. And so there is no protection from this heat. And most of the communities that are facing kind of this long-term heat wave are not usually facing that kind of heat consistently over a short period of time. So people are getting third-degree burns and suffering from dehydration and heat exhaustion, just a number of really serious issues. And we are not prepared for it, although we've seen it coming for some time.
And when we talk about these kinds of temperatures that we're seeing in many parts of the United States right now, upwards of getting into 30 degrees Celsius, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, how difficult is it for somebody who is living on the streets, maybe in a temporary kind of shelter or in a tent? How hard is it for them to stay cool in temperatures like that?
It's virtually impossible for them to stay cool unless there are other resources that communities make available. So most of our homeless population in this country is in urban settings. 70,000 plus people in California and large populations in New York and other cities. So in urban communities, you don't have vegetation or shade from trees or other kinds of shade that would allow you to have a bit of a respite from those kind of temperatures. So very hard. We don't have outdoor drinking fountains, so dehydration becomes an issue. So it is a really critical issue that people on the streets of our country are facing in a year where we've had the largest increase of unsheltered homelessness in our history.
You mentioned there that it really is crucial to have some sort of outside help then. What are organizations, maybe like yours, doing during these times, during these heat waves, to make sure that people can stay cool and can survive, really, when they're living on the streets?
We advise our street outreach workers to make sure that they carry water and other kinds of liquids so people can be hydrated during this time. But the biggest thing that we're doing is we're advocating for permanent housing with supportive services so that people don't have to live on the streets. That we have the resources available to be able to do that. We just need to gain the political will to make sure that people don't have to sleep on sidewalks and in parks and abandoned buildings and cars. We need to do a better job of providing those resources. That is what we are advocating for every single day.
And of course, climate change is only going to make heat waves hotter and longer lasting. Are cities and our countries ready for this?
I don't think so. I happened to, prior to coming to the National Coalition, I worked with Greenpeace for several years. And we saw this coming decades ago. Not only is there the issue around people living outside in unsheltered locations, we have low-income housing on floodplains, and we have low-income housing next to factories. So climate change is really a very serious issue for our population. I don't think that many of our elected officials really pay enough attention to it or make enough resources available. So we aren't ready. We should be treating this like any other natural disaster. We should have FEMA housing available or trailers, whatever we can do to make sure people aren't enduring these elements.
Right.
We know that more people are dying because of heat related issues than they are for other weather related issues. So we have to do a better job.